So helpful.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Tuesday, October 1st, 2024 Sebring City Council meeting. If y'all stand with me, the mayor is going to lead us in a prayer and a pledge.
Please bow with me. Lord, thank you once again for the wonderful city that we live in. Thank you for the staff that keeps us going. Gotten us through a little storm that we had successfully. Thank you for that. We send out special prayers to those that are on the coast, up the coast, in the states of north of us, and the tragedy that they're going through. It's going to be months before many of those, and sometimes probably better than a year before some of those towns and citizens get back to where we are. Thank you for sparing us, but we also wish that you watch over them. We also ask you to watch over the Cackley family. Kathy Haley's brother passed Sunday and went to a higher calling in a better place, a good place, I should say. We ask that you watch over that family as they honor their brother and their dad and their sons, and watch over Steve, please. We also ask that you help Chris' oxygen tank be full. We do all we do in your name. Amen.
Man.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the roll, please.
Parachute.
Here.
Carlisle.
Here.
Avery.
Here.
Mendel.
Here.
Stewart.
Here.
Bishop.
Here. If anyone from the audience has something they would like to discuss that is not on the agenda, or stand in, Renee will have a form for you to fill out, and she'll get it to me, and we'll get it to it later in the meeting. Mayor's report.
I got a few things. I'm going to steal some of Terry's thunder when was at the Tommy McGuire dedication, the mural dedication at the airport. But I want to thank you, Terry, for helping put that on. Mike Willingham and Terry sponsored that, but also helped put it together. And
It was a blessing.
It was a nice little event. I'll tell you, really learned a lot about Tommy McGuire's history, which is pretty fascinating from where it was. But thank you, and I'm sorry I stole your thunder.
No, that's all right. I
We're
always have plenty.
We were fortunate last week to have Shelley Phelps Whitfield from Wetumpka, which was the first hometown takeover community back in 2021. She came and put on several presentations, and visited all three of our towns in Highlands County, and had a lot of great things to say about, a lot of good things to say about how friendly everybody was and what kind of a community, and wished us success, but also gave us a lot of information on what to get prepared for. And she said, get ready to be in thousands of people that had come and visit. And she said that in Wetumpka, which is slightly smaller than we are, is kind of out in the middle of nowhere, not distant. And she said, in Florida, she said, people are going to take day trips just to come and see what happens. So, but I'd like to thank her for what she did. Also was attended a Champion for Children's event last week. And congratulations go to Cliff Howell, who was awarded the award. He's been a long time coach and mentor for a lot of kids. We have a couple things coming up. The Pink on the Circle is this weekend, the 5th. There's a little car show with that, and some other events that they're putting on for cancer awareness. The Naughty Girl is putting on the event, and then also we mentioned that Steve Cackley passed, which is Kathy's brother. And his service is 1:00 on Thursday. If you know Steve, he's been a long time. Well, they're a long time family. The whole Cackley family is here, and I was an attorney for forever here. So, and that's all I have.
That's it.
Okay, we're done. I got some more if you want.
Scroll out. It's mental.
Good evening, everybody. So glad you're here. And we did have a very interesting week with the Tommy McGuire Memorial a week or so ago. That was so great. But at the end of it, we also had a presentation on our airport and some of the plans for our airport. And I grew up here. I've been around here a lot, but I didn't really realize what a wonderful airport we have. So it was great to hear from Mike Willingham and Andrew Bennett, the assistant deputy out there at the airport authority, some of the futuristic plans they have for that airport. So, if you get any time, go out there and look around and ask the people out there what's going on, because they have some great plans, and they'll even give a presentation at different times. It's very, very informative. And then also the Champion for Children Gala, that was just awesome. We had a fantastic turnout there, even though we had to push it from Thursday to Friday. And it was just wonderful to see so many of you all there. And it was just a great evening for our community. And Kevin Roberts is our chair at the county commission, and he just does a great job with Champion for Children. So there are a lot of trickle down effects from that. With the different organizations, Kevin and his group sponsor and help, and we really owe him a lot from our community. He's a pretty terrific guy. That's all.
We had an insurance committee meeting yesterday, and it was actually good news for once. We had budgeted, I think, for a 15% overall increase for health insurance this year, and it's actually going to be closer to 3%, which is fantastic. And that's all I got.
Harrison.
Josh and I were able to go to the Moto Surf event last week.
Oh, I forgot about that.
My
Trying to.
legs are still sore and black and blue, and they're at the yellow stage now. It was a lot of fun, eye-opening. So the organizers were telling us that they're now going to be part of the World Games, and they're on track to be. They want to be in the Olympics. So being a part of that team and for them to come over is super exciting. One of the things that stuck out most, though, one of the organizers is in Sebring now. I think on Monday he flew to China. He's all over the world. Came from Czech Republic. He said there is no place on earth more beautiful to see a sunrise than Lake Jackson in Sebring. So that was just really cool to hear.
That was cool.
So as we, whatever we do with the lakefront too, as long as we can maybe make sure that that event can stay. It's a great event. I think it's building a lot of traction and it's great for the community. I'm glad to be part of it. I will give a shout out to the fire department and Chuck Piper, who stole the show. He made Josh and I look very, very bad. He took one for the team and did a really good job. So, we're
Harrison,
jealous.
did we have an increase in people that came to see that this year? Or?
No, I was out of state.
Didn't
Most
get
of
to-
the weekend.
I was there on Saturday, and it looked like there was more people than there was last year, so.
Well, I was going to take part in it if they had a Walker division on top of the motors. No, I'm just making a bad joke, but I think it's great. But do you feel like it was an increase in the amount of
I think
people?
there were more people
Yeah.
there.
I think a lot more participation from the public too. Trying
Yes.
them out,
Yeah, they had
trying out the sea bobs and all that.
quite a few, they said. So.
I think it was very successful. Glad that they're doing it for the TDC for putting that on. Big community effort, big team effort to bring it in.
I don't think me and Harrison are going to qualify for the Olympic team now.
Not that attitude.
Doesn't feel like we're going to make it.
Maybe next year.
Perfect.
I'm gonna stick with accounting and construction.
All right. Next up is the consent agenda. Does anybody have any questions or comments on any items on the consent agenda?
Make a motion to approve consent agenda as presented.
I second it.
All the board?
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Bendo,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Bishop.
Yes. All right, moving on. Item 10A is our first public hearing for the Small Cities Community Development Block Grant application. Coming up to tell us about it is Mr. David Fox.
Good evening, I'm David Fox with Fred Fox Enterprise. This wasn't advertised for public hearing for a 2023, 2024 CDBG or Community Development Block Grant application. Today's October 1st, 2024, it was advertised for 5:30 p.m. there's a sign-in sheet going around. Everybody would sign in. That's included with the application submittal. Slide 2. The city is eligible to apply for up to $750,000 in CDBG funds. There's 4 categories under this program. The first 3, you can only apply for one. If you apply for one, you can't apply for another one until you close out that project. So first 3 are housing rehabilitation, commercial revitalization, and neighborhood revitalization. So if you have a housing grant open, you can't apply for a commercial or neighborhood or another housing until you close it out. The housing category is where you go into owner-occupied, low moderate income households. You address all code violations, health and safety issues, Section 8 housing standards. The second is commercial revitalization, where you go into a downtown area. I know y'all had these previously, and you do some streetscape work. I think you did some work around the park at one point in the center of town. That was through a commercial revitalization grant. And the third is neighborhood revitalization, which is more of an infrastructure project. At least 51% of the people benefited must be low to moderate income. So if you're doing water lines on the street, at least 51% of the people on that street must be low to moderate income. That's determined by a household survey. Like I said, under categories 1, 2, and 3, you can only apply for one. Once you have one open, until you close that project out, you can't apply for another. Category 4 is a standalone category, economic development. You can apply for up to 1.5 million under that category. That's the only one you can go up that high. The rest of them is 750. For every job created, you can apply for $34,199, and at least 51% of the jobs created must be low to moderate income households or prior to creating the job. Any question on that slide? Page 3, we're talking about low to moderate income. We're talking about the amount set by HUD based on area median income. For example, for a family of 1, it'd be $39,550. A family of 4 would be $56,500, and a family of 8 would be $74,600. This just gives you an idea of what we're talking about for low to moderate income. Slide 4. For each $200,000 in leverage put toward the project or toward the application, you get 1 point in the application, or a maximum of 25 points for $50,000 in leverage. You can go over to $50,000 in leverage, but you just don't get any additional points for it. So you are going to have to put in what the additional cost will be for to complete the project. If you go in with design ready, you can get additional 50 points, meaning your plan and specs are completed and ready to go out for bid, including the submittal of applications for permits. You don't have to have the permits in hand, but you do have to show where you submitted them. And you submit a copy of the completed design and the application permits with the application for the 50 points. If you go in shovel ready, you will not get reimbursed for that cost. So that's a cost. You take a risk for those 50 points. Normally you're going to do a project. That shovel ready is something you're going to do if you get funded or not, because you're not going to get reimbursed, even if funded for that project. Any question on that slide? Page 5 or slide 5. You appoint us in the advisory task force. These are the steps. You did that previously. You advertise and hold a CATF meeting. We had a CATF meeting scheduled. We actually had them scheduled twice, and we haven't had a quorum the first one, then the storm came for the second one. So we're going to hold a third one between this meeting and the second public hearing. Is our intention. Advertise and hold the first public hearing, which we're doing tonight. Get public comment. Advertise the whole fair housing workshop, which we're also doing tonight, which we've advertised for. And then once we get a project completed or design completed, application complete, then application completed, then we'll present it to you at the second public hearing. What we're actually going to submit and get approval to submit it.
Thank you.
Just need public comments.
Anybody have any questions?
The economic development one, you said that it's up to $1.5 million, but it's 34,000 per job created.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And that's usually on the economic development. You're going to do whatever infrastructure is needed to the property line, but you're actually not going to do anything on the property of the developer. You need a developer involved. Apply for that.
Okay.
And we've done this before.
That was the new semi-clinic, I believe.
So we did Newsom that way. We also did Residence Inn, if I remember correctly. That
Yeah,
way.
hotel one. Yeah,
Yeah,
residence, yeah.
Anybody from the public have any questions or comments? No?
I was talking with staff, just to give you an idea of what we're looking at. They're looking at possibly, and this was, if they want to, but it's fine. Looking at possibly doing a neighborhood revitalization application. application or a neighbor under the neighborhood category. And that would be improvements to Mary Tony Park and Gabe White Park. So I just want to make sure that with the board that that would be the neighborhood category. Let's get direction from you, make sure that's what you want to do, and go ahead and move forward with the preparation of the application.
Question on that. So, Scott, then the reason why we're having to get drawn plans for Gabe White is to get the 50 points of leverage for this grant.
Yeah, that's my understanding. It's a requirement.
Okay.
You would need to get the plans for Gabe White and Mary Tony
Okay.
completed. I don't know if there's any permits besides you don't have to apply for a construction permit, but if there's any kind of DEP permit or anything like that, we would have to show that we submit, or that was submitted prior to the application. So,
Okay.
I get direction, is that?
Yeah.
Neighborhood category? Okay.
Yes, sir.
So I have for the, if there's any questions on the public hearing.
All right. We'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
Make a motion. Approve staff recommendation.
Second.
Hold the board.
Carlo,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Mendo,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Bishop.
Yes. All right. Scott, do we need to do the workshop now, or are we announcing a workshop, or 10B?
Fair housing workshop. David.
It's just, there's no action required, just a presentation.
Okay. All right.
Fair housing, equal opportunities for all. This is an advertised workshop. It says give you additional points in the CDBG application and gets information out to the public. Page 2, Fair Housing Act, what does it do? 42 USC prohibits discrimination in housing related transactions, including the sale, rental, or financing of dwellings. Discrimination includes refusing to rent to someone, steering someone away to a particular type of housing or neighborhood, enacting zoning measures to exclude particular groups because of membership in a protected class. Slide 3. Protected classes are as follows: race, color, religion, national origin, sex, familial status, and disability. What is prohibited? No one may take any of the following actions based on race, color, religion, sex, disability, familial status, or national origin. You can't refuse to rent or sell housing that's available. You can't refuse to negotiate for housing based on one of the categories. You can't set different terms, conditions, or privileges for sale or rental of a dwelling based on one of the categories. Falsely deny that housing is available for inspection, sale, or rental. For profit, persuade or try to persuade homeowners to sell or rent dwellings by suggesting that people of a particular race, age, sex, consider to move or are about to move into a neighborhood. Or deny any person's access to membership or participating in any organization, facility, or service related to the sale or rental of housing. Slide 5. It is unlawful to discriminate against a person whose household includes one or more children who are under 18 years of age. That falls under familiar status. If you're in a 55 or older community, you don't have to allow 18 or under to live there, but any other class it is required. Slide 6. Additional protection if you have a disability. If you have a physical or mental disability, including hearing, mobility, or visual impairment, cancer, chronic mental illness, or HIV/AIDS, that substantially limits one or more major life activities, or if you regard as having such a disability, housing provider may not refuse to let you make reasonable modifications to your dwelling at your expense. If you go to move into an apartment building and you're doing a rental, they can't deny you to allow to put in a handicap ramp if needed. They can require you to take it back to the original condition before you put the ramp in when you move out. Slide 7. What housing is exempt? The Federal Fair Housing Act exempts owner-occupied buildings with no more than 4 units and single-family housing sold or rented without the use of a broker. There are senior housing exemptions from senior housing facilities and communities from liability for familiar status. That's once again, that's the 55 and over communities to be exempt from the minor and familiar status. Page 8. If you think your rights have been violated, you can contact one of the following. This information is available from City Hall. There's a local Florida Housing Commission on Human Relations. You can file a complaint there. There's a HUD office out of Atlanta, Georgia, which is our Southeast Regional Office. You can file a complaint through them. There's actually a website you can go through with them. And then U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development Office out of Washington, D.C. If you have a complaint, these are possible places to submit your complaint. Page 9. What you'll need to do to include when you submit a complaint, your complaint needs to include your name and address, the name and address of the person your complaint is against, the address or other identification of the housing involved, so it's a rental complex, the name of the complex, and the address, a short description of alleged violation, and the date the alleged violation occurred. Then at that point, you submit it, and then they'll do a review. 10. What happens when you file a complaint? The office receiving the complaint will notify the person filing the complaint of the alleged violation, the filing of your complaint, and allow the respondent time to submit a written answer to the complaint. Investigate your complaint and determine whether there is reasonable cause. Notify you in response through HUD cannot notify you the respondent if HUD cannot complete the investigation within 100 days. And then the Fair Housing Act has a conciliation clause during the complaint investigation. HUD is required to offer you and the respondent the opportunity to voluntarily resolve your complaint with a conciliation agreement. Any questions? That's a lot of information, but we just wanted to get it out there and let people know there is an avenue if they have a complaint for fair housing.
Anybody have any questions? No?
Thank you
All
very
right.
much.
Thank you for coming in.
Yes, sir.
All right. Next up, Mr. Bogus. Gonna tell us about lead and copper.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'd like to get to talk to y'all. It's been a while. Just to give you a little background on this, the lead and copper rule has been around for a long time, but EPA came out with a kind of revised revision rule on lead and copper back in 2022. We had until this year to submit our first report to them on the inventories. In other words, where do we think we have lead at our service distribution system? I'm happy to tell you that we don't find any records that we've ever used lead pipe for distribution. We have in the past used something called a gooseneck, which is simply a way to connect the main line to the meter installation. And we've been removing those. I remember back when I worked for the Utility Commission, we were removing those back in the late 70s and early 80s. Used to get some of them, make bullets out of them. So, but anyway, it's been a process for a very long time. Now we monitor for this. We have to provide this information to our customers in our Consumer Confidence Report, CCR report, that we mail out annually. And I don't know if y'all have ever looked at it very closely, but there's just a trace of lead and a trace of copper in the samples that we take. Just so you know where we get the samples, we have a pool of 60 accounts, 60 locations that are generally in the area of where we suspect this could be a problem. We have to contact the customer and get their permission to come on their property, because we have to take the sample from either an outside hose bib or inside their home, whichever they will allow us. So that's the kind of the process we go through. But the rule now, the revised rule, requires us over a 10-year period to make sure that everything is lead free. Now, that we have control over our system, obviously. We do not have control over the homeowners, what they have, plumbing or in the supply line. And a lot of the older homes, mine included, has a galvanized line going from the meter to the house. And the problem with the galvanized pipe is back in the day, apparently some of the metal makeup had some lead in it for galvanized pipes. And corrosion will cause that to be a bigger problem. Well, I'm happy to also tell you that I was talking to Jay about this just the other day, for over 25 years, we have used a chemical called Sequestol. It's a proprietary blend, but it actually is an anti-corrosion type of NSF, of course, safe to use, but it controls corrosion in our distribution pipes. Where that's a big problem is with ductile iron and cast iron lines. And we still have a problem, but it keeps it from becoming a worse problem. That also helps us with lead and copper in the system as well. But as an ongoing practice, whenever we have to replace the meter box or replace the meter, we are now digging up that whole service and actually documenting with not only notes on the work order, but also photographs of what's there, whether it's PVC, poly, you know, galvanized lines, whatever we're finding. And so we're building that database. That's what we're actually submitting to DEP no later than the 16th of this month. We did get a price from Gold Street. Oh, I'm back up ahead of myself. We also have to provide written notice to customers that they may have lead in their drinking water. Not necessarily from us, but due to their own fixtures in their home, and even their supply line could be the cause of that. But we haven't mailed out a notice. It's a trifold. It's a color type of brochure, much like we've used in the past for our consumer confidence report. We got a low price. The lowest price we got was from Gold Street Design Agency at the price of $7,759.16. We will be mailing those out, and this is one of the main reasons why I wanted to share this information. We'll be mailing this out to roughly 15,000 customers. Not that all of them are going to have, you know, lead in their water, but this requirement that we notify people that we don't know if they have it or not. And then it's up to them to decide how they want to go about checking that. But I suspect that may cause some phone calls. So wanted to kind of give you all a heads up that if you get people calling you about this, at least you know what we're doing. I know the brochure and probably what you got in the packet doesn't look very attractive. The real thing will look much better. But I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Anybody have any questions?
So, Bob, if I get a call from somebody who's freaked out by that, they should call the Safe Drinking Water Hotline to get it tested? Is that the best step, or what?
Just tell them to call us.
Okay.
The utilities department.
You'll test?
We'll guide them through that.
Okay.
We may even, I don't know. I hate to throw out a blanket statement. We'll test everybody because I don't know what
Sure.
to expect. But there's different ways that water can be tested. We can direct them to sites you can get test kits, that sort of thing. They're not really expensive.
Okay.
But we'll kind of, I haven't kind of got that far with it yet, but we'll take it on a case by case basis to start with and see how big it is.
And so this would primarily affect homes built prior to 1987?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And you know, Scott and I were talking about this issue yesterday, and he was pointing out how, you know, each home could have their own filter system too.
Good. And a lot of
That
people
would-
do
Yeah,
already.
take care of that if somebody had a concern. And I don't know that much about pipes and all, but do they solder them together?
I think all the
copper.
is soldered. Yes.
Okay.
Now there's different fittings you can have. Now back in the old days, solder was the only way you could do it. Now they have different, I guess, compression type of connectors. SharkBite, I think, is the first one that comes to mind. I've used them before in my own home, but yeah, there's a lot of.
And
things
that
you can
wouldn't
do.
leach into the water system.
And copper really is not. They throw copper in there, but copper's not doesn't do the stuff that lead does to you. I've been drinking lead for years, and that's probably my problem. Anyway,
All right.
any other questions?
No, sir. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Appreciate
All right.
your help.
Yeah, that's right. No business from the audience. Mr. Swain, do you have anything to add?
No, sir. Thank you.
All right. Scott, do you have anything?
Yes, sir. Just to follow up on project report, Westlake Jackson project. They're working on the 100% deliverables. Echo Park. Hopefully we'll have something for you maybe at the October 15th meeting, but it's coming soon. I understand that the judicial court in Texas made a ruling, and they should be executing that contract. No update on the road swap yet. Relocation of Public Works utilities. Hope to have that contract on your October 15th meeting.
Okay.
Definitely in November, I would say, if it's not on the October 15th meeting. Mobile home park moratorium, staff met with special counsel and they're drafting language for council's consideration. Lakeview Water Sports, there's no update to that agreement yet. And then vegetation on Lake Jackson, treatment of the vegetation along US 27 will begin as soon as weather conditions permit, and that really involves just a calming down of the winds so that we're not spraying good vegetation when we're spraying the bad vegetation. We've reached out to FWC. I've reached out to the regional director's office. They referred me to the aquatic plant office, and that employee or director in that office is currently on vacation, so I'm waiting on a phone call back.
All right. Thank you. Ms. Brady.
Approve the payment of bills as presented.
So moved. Second.
Hold the board.
Carlisle.
Yes.
Avery. Yes. Mendel.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Bishop.
Yes. All right.